Apache release process is already documented in CVK of our project. You can see it is still in draft version. Maybe once we finalize this approach is good, then we can make it as a final version. Here you can see in Apache CVK page, we have one folder called release management. Under this one, you can see like how to release Apache Fineract, and you can see like release sign. And in this section, it is completely documented how to sign our Fineract release thing. And finally, before releasing, if you need to verify whether our signing process is correct or not, you can use this section uh, to verify whether we have successfully done or not. Okay, before going into the actual whatever the things we have documented, we need to make sure that whenever we are planning to give a new release, we need to give a heads up to all community members, maybe 1 month before or 2 months before, so that depending upon the priorities, they will complete whatever the ongoing work they are doing, and they can merge the code. So we need to give the sufficient time for community members. And also we need to communicate before itself, saying that in next release what and all features we are going to add. For example, if you are taking 1 to 10 bugs and one or two features, it's better to give heads up to all community members, because uh, all from our side, we can say that this is a priority for the next release. If anybody wants to contribute, they can contribute it. Maybe one or two lead members can initiate this process and continue on that one. After that, once you communicate this information to all members, what you need to do, you need to create a release branch. Whatever the things, for example, today I have done one release, and the rest of the development is continuing under development launch. And after 2 months, assume that if I'm planning to give another release after 1 month of 2 months, after giving the heads up, what you need to do, you need to create a release branch, and actual development should continue with on the develop branch, and what and all things are planned for that release should be merged into only release branch. It should not go to develop branch. Once our complete release is done, whatever the fixes we are doing into that release branch, or whatever changes, it should be measured back to the develop branch once release is successful. I hope everybody is clear with this.
And Nazir, just one question from my end. So you said that's about we've been doing that 1 to 2 months before we would anticipate the release. So
that depends upon, we can come to a number. The thing is, actually, that depends upon the number of backlog also. For example, if you have too many backlog items, and if you see like a lot of fixes are going into our code base, you can plan like every one sprint, you should have one release. But the thing is, it's better. It's if you're going for a 2 weeks release or a 1 week release, it is difficult to give a heads up. So you need to change the release process documentation. But if you don't see the number of issues getting merged into as part of our code base, maybe you can come to a conclusion saying that once 2 weeks or 2 months or 1 month, you can decide that number.
okay, yeah, maybe we'll aim towards about 1 month if we're trying to release on a monthly frequency. And then so the next step after you've released the branch is you've announced the branches, you've created that release
Yes.
branch. Okay. And then when in the process do you do code freeze, and then when do we go into that QA and soak period and actual vote on the release, etc.?
The thing is, once we create a release branch, on the release branch, code will be free, not on the actual develop branch. So members can continue on doing the changes on the develop branch. But the thing is, on release branch, you will be having only changes related to that release. For example, if I have 10 issues planned for this release and 8 are completed and 2 are still pending, what you can do, assume that those 2 are a minor thing where currently 80% is done, you can go ahead with the release branch and those changes should be merged with the release branch only. Now, once release branch is created, QA will be getting notified saying that these are the things are fixed in this release, and you can go and verify that one.
Mhm.
Okay, and also the thing is, on the release branch we are going to freeze the code, but the thing is on develop branch we never freeze the code. Maybe for 2 hours we might say that we are creating a release branch, so wait for some time. There is no actual code freeze on develop branch.
Okay. And is there any possibility that we take anything that happens on develop after we've cut the release branch? Would we ever move that on to the release branch at a later
Uh,
date for that,
uh,
or no?
that depends upon the collective decision. Assume that no, the thing is, if it is a simple thing, right, you can take it. But the thing is, if it is a major change, again, it is going to delay the release process. For example, in QA and other stuff. Case to case, we can take a decision whether to take into release branch or not. But usually, the thing is, we won't suggest unless it is a critical thing, and whatever the critical thing for the release should be going to release branch only, not in the develop branch.
Okay.
I hope clarified.
And so when does the QA start happening based on when the release branch is announced?
Yeah,
As you
once release branch is announced, QA will start with the actual setup, setting up the staging environment, and they're going to start the QA.
okay?
And
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say. So it sounds like right now, like the announcing of the release is really, you know, not to give chance of people to plan on what they want to work on in that release, but letting them know what's coming in it. So is there another step we should take earlier on where we, say, oh, we want to plan what's going into the next release?
yes, yes. The thing is, as part of actual release planning, what you need to do, you need to our community needs to come up with a list of issues or features where they are looking for a next release. That will be a separate mail communication or mail thread will be happening. But once that is decided, then only we are going to start working on that one. And once we see like 80% or 90% work is completed with respect to whatever we have communicated, then we are going to branch out the release. It's not like we are going to have like a list of features should be coming in the next release, and we are going to create a release branch, and everybody should be working on that release branch. If you go with that approach, the problem is some people will be making the changes on the develop branch, and some people will be working on the release features. By end of the day, if you want to merge these two branches, you will be ending up with a lot of merge conflicts or some other issues. So it is always suggestible you continue the development on the main branch only. Assume that if you whatever the things you have planned for that release, if you see that 80% or 90% are completed, then you can go ahead with the release branch, so that QA will continue testing this. QA or community members can continue testing on that branch.
Okay. And then in terms of like what assigned fixed version we attach, like in Jira, does that not get placed until the release has been announced, or would that be placed when people are planning out where to
the,
work
the
on.
the moment you start planning for next, assume that you have done one release today, the
Uh-huh.
immediately the release manager, what he has to do next day, he has to create a release version in the Jira, so that whatever the things we are planning for next release, all those issues should be moved into under to that release version.
Okay. So
Okay,
let's yeah.
it is
Let's
release manager. Yeah, continued.
okay. I was gonna say let's take a hypothetical situation like perhaps now like we know 1.1's coming out, but we want to plan for 1.2. So someone might send an email out today saying we want to plan out what people would like to work on or complete for releasing in 1.2, and then at that moment we would create a 1.2 version that issues could be assigned to and start assigning them. Is that correct? Or
Yeah,
attaching them
yeah.
to that?
Yes, the thing is, once you plan all the issues or features for the next release and discussion is completed with the community members, the release manager, what he has to do, he has to create a release version in the Jira, and all the issues discussed for that release should be moved under that release version, so that we can track easily.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, okay, if you want to take one example, assume that today I have completed Fineract 1.00 release, and in next 2 days or 3 days, or maybe we might be getting the input from last week itself. And next 2 days, you'll be having list of issues or features should be planned for next release. Now, as a release manager, what you need to do, you need to have all those Jira issues moved under that release. And if a new feature is not yet created in Jira, what you need to do, you need to create all those issues and user tasks, all those things, and it should be moved under that new release. It is completely we are not going to communicate this information to all committee members. It is done by the release manager itself.
Mhm. Okay. So it sounds like we want to, in the process, implement that initial, like that we don't have yet documented, that initial, planning stage, and we need to identify how long we
Yes.
want that to occur. Okay.
Yes, actually, we used to communicate behind the scenes, maybe try call or some other thing. It's
Uh-huh.
not like we had communicated with the community members. Now it's better to add one more documentation to plan for issues for the next releases, so that it will be aware for all community members.
Okay.
Okay, if there is no other question related to this, then I will continue with this. Okay, how to release Apache Fineract thing.
Nazir,
Yeah,
Nikhil here.
yeah. Hi,
Uh,
Nikhil.
yeah, hi. It's a very silly question, but like still I wanted to ask you. See, there are a lot of fixes on the develop branch, right?
Yeah.
So when we go and make a release branch, how
Mm-hmm.
do you pick a specific fixes or specific versions then put it into release branch?
See, a lot of fixes. I don't think so. You'll be having out of the context fixes, right? For example, if you're communicating with the committee members saying that these are the things we are looking for next release, I believe most of the people will be working on those releases only. And if some people are fixing some issues which are not part of the list, then that might be a critical issue which is not yet found, or maybe some kind of enhancement what they are looking for their own implementation. I don't think so. It is going to affect anything for our releases. Whatever the things are there. For example, if I'm going to branch out today, I will take all the commits which are available as part of develop branch. We are not going to hide any changes which should be not part of the release.
Oh,
I
okay.
hope.
So like yeah, so
Yeah.
like all the fixes or all the comments on the develop branch are usually being carried over to release branch.
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you.
And on release branch, assume that if you're giving for QA 1 or 2 weeks, and that time, if QA or committee members found some issues, all those issues will be fixed as part of the release branch. And once release is successfully done, what we are going to do, we are going to take out all those changes from the release branch and put it into main branch, so that those changes are available for next release.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions on this? So what and all things we have discussed just now, it is not documented. We used to do behind the scenes, so myself, Santosh, and Ed, and we used to have triage calls, and we used to plan accordingly. Maybe now it's better to document this process also, so that we will collect all the issues or features which should be available for next releases. Maybe somebody, release manager or group of community members can decide slowly, like in this release we might take up this thing, or next release, like that. Otherwise, if all committee members are looking for a lot of issues, and I don't think so in one single release it is manageable. So somebody as who is taking in charge of like a release manager kind of thing, he has to decide saying that these are the issues will be coming into next release, and after that release maybe we are going to work on this. Like we should have a planning tree kind of thing, which should be shared to community members also, so that everybody aware of that, what and all features or what and all fixes they are getting in what and all releases. It's better to give this kind of information to all the members. And now, once you understand this one, you know, like if you are planning to give a new release, you need to send out a mail saying that you have created a new release version, and you have created a Jira to track that release activities. And we have to communicate to all community members, which is mentioned in this one. You can see subject is like work on release maybe 1.1.1 started, and we have created one release Jira thing to track that one. And you can say that tentatively other activities like a QA, and if any issues found will be fixed. Maybe you can give a release date saying that tentatively on this date we might release this one. And we can ask them saying that if apart from actually plan, is there any other thing you are looking for that one? Okay, maybe you can take minor thing which is not going to affect the release. Hopefully most of the community members won't give, because it is already planned. If they are giving any major issues, it's better to move to next release, otherwise it is going to affect our current release. And as part of this release notification mail only, you need to saying that you have created a release branch, and you need to give the release branch details also. And after that, you need to sanitize Jira. And as I mentioned, once our next release starts, release manager will create the release version in Jira, and what and all issues fixed or should be fixed will be moved under that release. And you need to sanitize all those release documentation by following this one. You can see here which is documented. And whatever the link.
In Azir, is this sanitization of Jira, is this happening while QA is happening in parallel?
Once we prepare the release branch, right, that time you are going to prepare this sanitation, not while doing the QA. Parallelly, the thing is, assume that if I have started next release activities, the thing, what and all fixes we are doing it, we might be putting in some staging environment or giving to QA like a development builds kind of thing, where this development as well as the QA will be happening hand to hand. Finally, once release branch is created, we are going to see the end-to-end, is there any regressions happened, and again complete the testing of the what and all issues fixed. But the release sanitation will happen along with the on this what to say once we created the branch. Now you can see here, for example, if I'm going to select 1.1.0 and select what is the style, and It is going to list out all the issues, and
Okay.
you can share this information to all committee members.
Okay, but we
And
this so these release notes wouldn't be ready at the time of announcing the release because we haven't done the Jira
no,
sanitization yet.
no. The thing is, after this Jira sandation, right? Once we create a release branch and the QA is happening for 1 or 2 weeks, we might end up fixing some more issues also. Maybe some regression issues or some unknown bug kind of thing. If you do it initially itself and share to committee member, they won't be getting the complete picture. So the moment we create a release branch, this information will be shared to the only the QA members, not to the all committee members. But the thing is, when we are sharing the release information to committee members, that time it might have the real picture. Okay, maybe we might have fixed 5 more bugs, or we might have. You understood, right?
Yeah, so like let's say looking at the timing, so like we announced the release, and you create the release branch, it would maybe be about 1 to 2 weeks later we might send the release notes that you just shared. Like that's
Yes,
the
yes.
clear picture.
No, the yeah. While releasing the release artifacts, we are going to share information to all community members. But the thing is, for QA to give the complete picture, what and all they have to test. Once we create the release branch, we are going to sanitize this release notes and share it to the QA members, so that they will continue the testing, regression testing, as well as feature testing also.
Hmm. But these release notes that you're showing right now, would we share the unsanitized version with the community or wait till it's been sanitized first?
It is sanitized version only, but
Okay.
the thing is, same sanitized version will be shared to QA members as well as the community members also. But QA members, what and all we are sharing, right? It's like 1 week or 2 weeks before, and the moment we start sharing this information to community members, it might have or it might not have more issues fixed, or maybe some regressions or something.
Okay.
It is actually, this tool is already available as part of Jira thing only. You can look into this one. And what and all versions you are seeing here, right? It should be created before itself. Because I have created 1.1.0, it is appear here. If you want to release for 1.2.0, and what and all issues fixed as part of the 1.2.0, it will be displayed by selecting that 1.2.0. All these things will be taken care by the release manager or one of the community member. Now, assume that we have shared this information to QA, and QA told that everything is good and you can go ahead with the release. Then actual process will start. Here you can see like how to create a release artifact. Now, in this example, what I'm showing is like I have taken one of the release branch. I'm going to clone the actual release branch into my local system, and after that I'm going to delete, or before deleting, what we need to do, we need to run this complete integration test, and we need to see there is no single integration test failure. If there is a failure, then community will reject the release. That's why you need to run, and you need to make sure that there is no uh, like a, even a single test case failure. Once you make sure that there is no test case failure, what you need to do, you need to copy this complete folder structure into a temporary location kind of thing, and you need to remove all these git directories and what and all build directories it created, and if make sure that you don't have any jars included. Uh, and what you need to do, you need to tar that source directory by removing all these git directories, jar directories, and build directories, all those things, and you prepare one tar git file. And again, one more thing, if you're planning to give a binary release, you need to build the project, and you need to take war file. And the thing is, you need to take care of licensing thing. As of now, it is manually done. Maybe you can modify build Gradle build script to automate that one. We have, if you see our code base, let me open. Here we have license underscore release and license underscore source, and notice underscore release and notice underscore source. What we need to make sure is we need to manually modify or rename these files. In case of source directory, you need to take this source license file and rename it to license, and notice, you need to rename it to notice. I'm not sure, I forgot whether I have automated that process. If it is not there, you need to rename these two files and put it as part of the source directory. And you need to take license release as well as the notice release and rename it to license and notice and put it to as part of the release artifacts. I will show the previously created release artifacts. You can see there is no release or source license files. It is completely license and a notice. And if you see this zip file, it will not have any other jars or any build directories or git directories. We need to completely manually remove all those files. And the binary artifact will have only var file and two licenses. One is notice and license. Once you create this gz files, okay, then we'll go to release signing. You can see we need to run these commands. Before this one, you need to create your own key on Apache mail ID name. It is well documented in Apache site how to create a signing key. You can go through this documentation, and you need to generate license key with your Apache email ID. Okay, other mail IDs, I don't think so. Community or Apache will accept that one. Once you have the signing key generated for you, what you need to do, there are two keys will be there. One is private key, another one is a public key. You need to publish your public key into community, and that one also documented here only, where you'll be having key servers where you need to put your public key into that one. And you need to sign the releases, whether it is source or binary, with your private key. And here same thing, how to creating a branch and how to tar all those things. It is documented. And finally, if you want to generate ASC file, you need to use this command. And first time it will ask the username and password. Once you enter this one, for rest of the commands it won't ask. And with this one, it is going to generate MD5 file, and with this one, it is going to generate such a 512 file. And these three commands are required for source. Another three commands are required for this one, to binary artifact. Finally, once these commands are successful, you will be seeing one source SHA file, one source SHA file, and one AAC file, and one MD5 file, one actual tar file. And similarly, you'll be having 4 files, which is actual binary artifact, and other files like AAC, MD5, and SHA file. Is there any question? Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just think there weren't any questions, Nazir.
Okay. Once this is done, what you need to do, you need to verify your own releases whether signing is done properly or not. That information also documented here. You can see, you can download those release, you can take those release artifacts and you can run these commands. For example, if you want to verify whether release signing happened properly or not, initially, if the signing is bad, it will say that can't check signature or no public key, because you haven't loaded the public key of the the guy who signed. But in our case, this won't happen because public key and private key are both are available in our system. If the issue will come, assume that Ed is signing the release and he shared the release artifacts with the community, and I'm trying to verify whether release is from actual Ed or somebody tampered in between. In such a case, if I try to run this command, it will say that no public key available. Then what I need to do, I need to import the Ed's public key into my system, and that command is already mentioned here, you can see, and it will if the import is successful, it will say that one key imported. Or if you don't if you don't want to import the key, its signing key from the key server, anyhow from Apache Fineract side, we are sharing this complete keys file, and you can download that keys files, and you can import all the keys available as part of this keys file, and you will be seeing like how many keys are imported into your system. But the thing is, whenever we are doing a release, this is not required, because the release signing who is doing is in my for example, Ed is doing that one. Both public key and private keys are available in his system, so first 2 steps are not required, and we can verify whether we have done the release signing properly. You can see like primary key footprint and key is certified with the trusted signature. You'll be seeing these statements. And the main thing is we need to see good signature from the actual person who is doing the signing, and his mail ID, all those things. After that, we can verify MD5 and SHA things also. It is already mentioned here. You can go through this documentation. And in case of if you see, my key is not authenticated by anybody. While generating the private key or your signing key, for example, if Ed is trying to create his phone key, and we can sign his key by using my public key, or maybe some other person. That time it will it will say that already 2 persons know Sheikh Nazir Hussain, and it is trustable. But my signing key is not what to say trusted. It doesn't have any trusted signature from any other community members, and it might give a warning saying that this key is not certified with their trusted signature. You don't need to worry about this one for now. Maybe in going ahead, what we need to do, if any person is signing with his own key, that key should be trusted, should have trusted signature from a different community member, so that we can validate the person is actual from Sheikh Nazir Hussain from this organization or not. Is there any doubt on that? Okay, here you can see how to do the checksum verification by using the MD5 thing, and if any problem is there, it will print out here saying that the signature or checksum doesn't match. If there is no tampering happen, it will logs will print properly. If the one more thing you need to remember is you need to keep footprint will be there in this one. Okay, it should whenever I'm signing with this one, always the fingerprint will be this one only. It won't change unless there is a tampering. So you need to re-verify whether this fingerprint and it should be there in other. Yeah, here. Assume that if somebody is trying to see what is my by taking my public key, if they want to verify whether this fingerprint and actual public key fingerprint both are same, or by running this command gpg minus hyphen hyphen fingerprint and my nudge it's a public key, you will be getting the key fingerprint here, and you can compare these two so that you will understand the actual person who signed the release is Nazir Hussain. There is no tampering happen. Other stuff like printing the SHA file and MD5, it is like a simple commands only. You can verify. Once this release verification first step is processed, you won't be seeing any issue with this one. Once this verification is done from your side, what you need to do, you need to put all these release artifacts in Apache. Here it is a distribution URL. You should be having a dev URL also. Let me open my one of my release mail. Yeah. All the releases what and all we have done will be available in this location. Okay, you need to put the release artifacts by creating that corresponding version here. For example, if you are going to release 1.1.0, you need to create a new folder, and you need to put all those release artifacts as part of the this directory. Then finally, you need to draft a mail to all community members. Where is that mail? Yeah, saying that you have created real release artifacts and what and all sanitation has done. You're going to copy and paste into C wiki page. You should be having a release. 1 minute. It looks like it is modified.
It was it down at the bottom there, Nazir, at the bottom of the wiki page,
Okay.
the 1.00.
Yeah. Once what you need to do, you need to create release notes, and you need to prepare what is the purpose of this release, and what and all major features or some release related information you can put it as part of the scope. And release artifacts you need to because before approval of that one, you need to give the release dev link, and once it is successful, you need to put actual distribution link here, and you need to copy complete release Jira sanitized output and put it here, and you can give a link to the actual Jira sanitation URL. And you have to draft a release mail to all community members, and you can say like actual release source and binary release artifacts are available in this location. And okay, one more thing I forgot is once QA approves that release branch is good to go ahead for the release, you need to tag that release. Okay, so that even in future somebody changes that release branch by committing some new fixes or something, right? You can still get back the actual version which is released to the community. So that the tagging details should you can give, or that branch details you can give. Like you can open this link, you will understand saying that which is going to point. 1 minute, sorry. Okay, on which committee you are going to you're asking community to give the approval. That commit details should be given here. Or if you have the tag details, you can give the tag details also. But tag is mandatory because, as I told, if somebody changes, we can still get the actual released branch to the community. And you will see other things also, like what is the you need to give the community details how to deploy this application on Ubuntu or Windows, and you can put that information also. And finally, the important thing, who signed this one, what is the public key of that guy, and when you need to give the location of the all the keys thing, and you need to give 72 hours for the committee members for the voting. The thing is, once we have graduated, we need to get only approval from the actual PMC member. Otherwise, if it is incubation thing, you need to get the three binding votes from the dev mailing list who are PMC members. And again, you need to get the approval or binding votes from the IPMC, who are like a general monitoring body kind of thing up for all Apache projects. But since we have already graduated, once you get three binding votes on a dev mailing list, like binding votes here are nothing but PMC members, maybe Ed or Mel or me or Marcus. I don't know about others. Adi. Once you get at least three binding words, we are good to go. And vetoes, like if anybody is saying that there is the issue, it is not like they're stopping the they want to stop the release, but the thing is we need to give the clear information saying that why that happened. Or for example, if any test case failed, yeah, it is. I have faced this issue some time back. I used to give the release on the from the Windows system because source tree what I have used, it used to use check out the project and Windows line ending. One of the test case used to fail if you run that complete code into Unix environment. If such kind of issues are there, we can give the explanation and we can still go ahead. Otherwise, if any test case failure or any other issues, you need to like rollback release, and you need to fix it, and you need to go ahead the complete steps what I have discussed. It is nothing but you are giving a new release by rolling back the current release. Is there any other question?
Oh, Nazir, on the voting, so like so I know the -1 doesn't veto it, but do you have to count that against, would you need like 4 plus ones to offset it if there's a -1, or does it you just need 3 binding
Uh,
plus ones?
most of the cases you will be getting the three binding words. If any veto is there, once it is clearly communicated, and if that person accepts that one, I believe he will change that -1 to 0 or +1. Okay, I don't think so. He's going to keep -1, or if whatever what is the what and all explanation you're giving, if it satisfies to him. Otherwise, I suggest to drop out the release, because if there is a major issue with that release, I don't think so. You'll be getting -1 from -1 to +1. It's better to drop out that release and work on that issue mentioned.
Okay.
It's not good to release, in my opinion, it's not good to release give a release with having -1 some more. Okay, it's better to get +1s only. What issues, if any issues is there, by discussing with them we can resolve and we can convert them into plus. If it is not convertible, it's better to drop that release and work on that issues mentioned by them. Okay, is there any other questions? Okay, once 72, you can wait. You need to give at least 72 hours for the community member. But assume that if you are not getting 3 binding words, we can still continue. You don't need to drop a reminder mails to community members. You can wait another 2 days or 3 days. If you still are not getting, maybe you can drop a personal mail personal mail to them to verify the release and vote for it. Or if for after 1 week, if you are not getting any response from community members, then then you need to drop a reminder mail to all members saying that you are still waiting for the release voting. Okay, unless you have 3 binding votes, you're not going to go ahead with the release announcement. Okay, once you get sufficient votes, and assume that within 72 after 72 within 72 hours you got 3 binding votes, you still need to wait until you complete 72 hours. After once completion of 72 hours, you can close the voting by dropping another mail. You can see here, and you're saying that you got 5 PMC members +1 and 2 non-PMC votes. And it's better to give all those person names who voted this one. If it is a binding vote, you can need to mention like binding vote. If it is non-binding vote, you need to mention non-binding vote. And you need to mention saying that uh, for release voting, you are going to put the release artifacts in the dev environment. Once release voting is successful, and you need to mention saying that you are going to move those release artifacts into okay, what to say, this location. And once you drop this mail, you need to move all the release artifacts from dev environment to distribution environment. And finally, you need to announce the release. You should see like same. It's better to follow same format unless it is required to modify. And actual repo survey, where is the location and what's the release notes. And if you have any Jira tracking, all those things, you can give the Jira location, all those things. And one more thing you need to remember is we have Apache, Fineract Apache site, right? Apache, sorry, dot Fineract dot, sorry, Fineract dot Apache dot org. Not this one. Ed, do you remember what is that site?
Which site, Nazir?
Yeah, website. I don't know why it is not.
Which website?
Apache Fineract website is there, right? Where we have mentioned resources and all those things. I don't know why it is mapping to.
Oh yeah, it should just be. I don't know why it's not. Did you put the HTTP dot? Yeah, that should be going to where it's
Yeah,
supposed to
it
be.
should be. Yeah, it's supposed to open our Fineract website. 1 minute.
Yeah, just try searching on Google, maybe.
I should be having that location in one of the, yeah.
Yeah, it should just be fineract.apache.org.
Yeah, same thing I have typed, but still it went to JMeter.
Yeah, odd.
Okay, so looks like some problem. It is pointing to JMeter location. You can see in my release mails, it is same thing. Okay, maybe we can correct it later. The thing is, if you open this website, if it is working, it will still point to previous release artifacts. What you need to do, you need to open the code base which is related to that site, and you need to change the location of release artifacts, and you need to commit those changes. And I believe I should be having that github.com Nasir 11026 / Okay, it is a single page HTML code base, and you need to open this one. And most of things what we are going to modify is release artifacts related. One point. You can see here only you might modify only these locations. Like currently it is pointing to Fineract 1.00, and once before dropping a release, so voting, you need to modify this one also, saying sorry, once announce is done, you need to modify a location of the artifact so that everybody aware that what is the current version of the current version which is released into to the community. Okay, I hope I have covered most of things. Do you have any questions? Okay, the thing is, everything is documented in Fineract CWiki page, and if you have any questions, you can get back to me still. And main thing, what you need to look into this one is how to release Apache Fineract and release signing. I suggest every member should go through this location to generate your own signing keys. It is self-explanatory. Yeah, by going through this one, you can do that. And once you have your own signing key, then you can go ahead with the rest of stuff like creating the binary artifacts as well as the source artifacts. Make sure that whenever you're going ahead with the release, there is no integration failure. And all integration, I mean to say, in all integration tests are passing, and you have the Jira sandation is done, and the thing in source artifacts, you don't have any unlicensed file. Every file what you're including should have license, either Apache license, and in our source release we are including a documentation also, which is having some third-party JS files, and those details already mentioned as part of our notice file and the license file. So you no need to worry about it. But the thing is, you should not have any third-party jars included in the source directory. Okay, if it is mandatory to include in future, you need to mention either in license file and notice files also. And one more thing, in future, if you're going to add any new feature which requires a third-party library, either category B licensed or some of the category A licensed, you need to update in a license file as well as the notice file. In Apache projects, it is not allowed to include any category X licensed code or jar. So you need to avoid that one. And if you want to see how the notice file and license file looks, I can show it here. Here you can see all this license information which is mentioned. These are like JS files included as part of our source release documentation. That's why you need to release. You need to put all those information. And if you see notice thing, because we are not including any third-party licensed software in source release, we are not putting any information here. We're blindly saying that complete source is licensed under Apache, and you will be seeing a difference in the release notice, because we're as part of var file, we are including a lot of third-party jar files, and we need to mention some of the notice details of those third-party licensed software. You can see here. And you can see source license also. Sorry, license release one. See, in license file of release also, we have mentioned third-party libraries details, and you can see source one, there's no such thing. So cautious that whenever you're including any third-party libraries or implementation, you need to make sure that those are not category X licensed software. And if it is a category B and some of the category A licensed thing, you need to put either in license file or notice file. It's mandatory. Okay, that's it from my side. If you have any questions, I can answer. Okay, if you don't have any questions, then we can wind up this call.
Okay, yeah, I think Nazir, sort of just to summarize, so like for the folks that are a part of the PMC and would like to help with this release management process, we need folks both to help with the planning and coordination of a release, so more on the product management, release side. And then, as you can see, the steps of actually doing the release are pretty involved, so we need people to assist with that process as well. And I'll send out some notes on sort of more the timing and the process, but I think we want to add like a small table to the wiki page just to give an overview of like what the timing is in advance of the actual release date and the stages that need to take place for the release to actually occur. So I think we wanted to have, this planning stage, and then perhaps we might do that about 6 weeks prior to the actual planned release date. And then we have that announcement of the release and what's going to go into it, which I think we could perhaps do a month prior to the actual release, and then the next steps will occur between 4 weeks and the actual date. So perhaps, Nazir, when I was looking at it, we might actually publish those sanitized release notes about 2 weeks prior to when we want to actually release, and then the vote should occur at least 1 week prior to the release. But I'll send out a notes with some of that table and what occurs at each stage, and then everybody can give feedback on it. But that's what
Okay.
I came up with based on what we were discussing. But I think the thing we want to make more clear is just a little bit of that planning initially. So.
Yep.
Okay, and just as far as where we are, Nazir, with this release, like I know I don't think we followed every step of the process, but once we get that last change committed, we're just trying to actually cut the release, vote on it, and get it out there, correct? So,
No, Ed, I still see 5 integration test case failures which are related to bulk import feature.
okay,
Okay, because we are giving this release by including that feature, it's better to fix those 5 failures.
okay,
If I remember correctly, I have already communicated to Karuna Karan on that one.
okay,
He told me that he didn't see any test case failure on his local machine, but I have shared the details to him.
okay. He's aware
Maybe,
of that now.
yeah, he's aware of that one. I don't know whether what is the status of those issues.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll check in with him and let's try and get that out. But we'll begin the process now for 1.2 and trying to discuss the planning around that, and then for 1.2 and 1.3 try and adopt this new, not new process, but sort of new sequencing of how the
Yeah,
steps occur.
yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for everybody who joined today. We'll send out the recording and notes to the mailing list, and then if anybody has additional questions, we'll follow up there. So thank you, Nazir, for all the time on this today.
No problem. Ed.
Bye-bye.
Bye.